The answer is take the win and run.
I get hung up on certain things.
I have OCD, Jake.
I mean, hi guys, my name's Jeff. I'm an equal opportunity lover. You guys know that.
But wouldn't the dog want to stay on the meat wagon?
You say you can convince the dog to hop off.
That's insane.
Yeah, I'm intelligent.
That's such a Jeff answer right there.
He's handsome, curly-haired, and Jewish, sitting right here.
Jeff, you are a golden retriever.
Hey, Jake, that's what you kids call that drip, right?
It was good despite the gastric consequences, but call me the crystal ball here, man. I'm getting everything right except my own picks. That's really, to me, a battle of two of the coaches with the best hair.
Welcome to the E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Founded in 2013, the EHL is your next step on the path to college. Over the past decade, the EHL has established itself as the college placement leader on the East Coast. And now, here's your host, the commissioner of the Eastern Hockey League, Neil Ravin.
Thanks, Jim. And with that, let's bring in Jeff and Jake. Guys, when we start the podcast every week, I try and find a unique topic to talk about. And this week, it's my dream last night.
Whoa. I don't think we've gone there.
I mean, a couple days removed from MLK Day, I guess Neil also had a dream. This makes sense.
Wow, Jake. Wow. Seconds in, we're off and running, folks.
So in my dream last night, for some reason, Jake and I were flying somewhere. I don't know where we were.
Was I in rough shape already?
Yes, this is the point, right? So, like, for some reason, I cannot find Jake, but we have to be on the same plane.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, okay, like this makes no sense. But for some reason now, which continued to make no sense, the terminal had like two levels to it, like top and bottom.
Space?
So like I'm trying to board in the bottom level and I can't find Jake, and some random stranger's like, he's up top. And I'm like, okay, he's up top. We're gonna board the top level for the flight to I don't know where we're going.
What airport were you at, Neil?
I no idea, Jeff.
Okay.
So I get on the plane and it's like a double-decker plane, and Jake went to the top level, which is I guess
England.
where we were gonna sit.
I guess we're flying in England, I guess.
Yeah, right? That sounds like a bus.
Seriously. So the craziest part though is I'm like, Jake doesn't really like flying. We're on the top level. The top level is all glass. So it's going to be windows the entire flight. So I look at Jake and I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, no. Are you okay? And I was like, what? I'm like, you don't like flying. And then I wake up and I'm like, what just happened? Like, where were we going? Like, why was that what my brain said I have to dream about? So when I woke up this morning, Jake,
You're
I was
exhausted.
I was sweating a little bit, to be honest.
It's your subconscious. You're worried about me for some reason.
Seriously. But
Jake flying away?
You were more concerned about if I was going to be okay. And that's what prompted me to say, like, let's wake up from this nightmare. So
I mean, that's a really mild nightmare.
Maybe you'll pick it up tomorrow. We want to know where you guys go and what airport you're at and what airline you fly.
I almost woke up Vicky to be like, I just had the weirdest no context dream ever, but I was like, that probably wouldn't be a good idea.
She probably would.
I don't know. I feel pretty honored, man. That's in your dream. That's crazy.
You were. So with that, though, we could start going around the E Show.
Let's take a look at what's going on around the E Show.
And I haven't told you guys the topic for this week because I don't think I really disclosed the topic last week with the dogs, right? We were highlighting all the top dogs, right? This week, I want to go team by team and highlight the most important game left on every single team's regular season schedule, right? Because and I think the way that we can look at this is obviously every team is in a different position, right? There's no two teams that are really similar. So you start with the Avalanche, right? They are in first place in the North Division, 25-2-4, 6-point lead. What is the most important game left on their schedule?
Wow. I mean, you can look at the last game of the year at the showcase. How about that for a 2 p.m. Monday, March 10th Express Avalanche? Maybe they're fighting for the old President's Trophy of the EHL, fighting for best record, fighting for number one seed. That one kind of jumps out to me right away. Still have to play the Wolves. I mean, that race is huge right now up in the north. So, those are two big games right off the rip there on the schedule.
Yeah. I mean, he just took two. I guess we're allowed to do that. But
I'm breaking the
I was
rules,
gonna
RJ.
go with Wolves. Yeah, probably the two at Ice Den more so to see if the Avs can kind of even up that season series. But yeah, I mean the one at Merrill Bay should be fun too. Maybe I'll pop down to one of them.
Ooh.
Or
Are
up to one of
you
them.
are you go yeah, up. Are you but not up like top level of a plane up. But anyways, are you,
Evidently, maybe.
maybe. Are you going Tuesday, Jake?
What's Tuesday?
Express at apps.
Yes.
Okay, I'll see you there. That's a big one for me.
Oh,
The
nice.
the Express have had that circled, in my opinion, for a while, since the last time the Avs went down to Walpole and won there, right? So to the Wolves we go next, who, as I mentioned, trail the Avs by 6 points. But as Anthony mentioned in his short shifts, they do hold the game in hand. And quietly, they've won 10 straight. Like, I
And
know
three
that,
or four on the Avs on the
yeah,
year.
a
Yeah.
couple in a shootout. Is there a big game down the stretch for them in terms of trying to catch the Avs for that one seed, or to maintain that two spot?
I think all the games are big for them because they're 6 points behind. Like you just said, Neil, one game in hand. So, but yeah, I think kind of all the games because you got to hope with how hot the Avs have been, you got to hope that they kind of hit a little somewhat skid too because you got to win and they got to either they have to find some losses or something for you to climb over them. So, um, yeah, I mean, you got some every game's important, but some cool matchups, possibly future playoff matchups. You're going to play the Wizards for a series. And then of course you're going to play some teams down south when you go to the last showcase. So, but I think Wolves are more of a they kind of need every game's important for them to jump over the Avs and get first in the North.
I think this upcoming 3 game set against the Lumberjacks, because when the Lumberjacks went to Merrill Bay, they took 2 of 3. And that
Yep.
was kind of surprising. So now the Wolves got to go try to do that up at Letty. So I think this next set of 3 is pretty good. And I think it's going to be really hard for them to take 2 of 3 at Letty. But I mean, this Wolves team is on fire right now. And I mean, they're outstanding.
You hear that, Coach Trimble, owner Trimble, everybody? Jake just said Wolves, good things. Play that locker room. Do it.
Listen, yeah, it comes a little late after saying the winning streak would end on the P,
Yeah.
but he was
Like, who was that? Jake
he was
talking?
eventually right. So
And I did pick the team. I did pick the team that
Correct.
ended.
That's true. Your
correct,
crystal
correct.
ball's working.
I'll go right after Jake's 3 game set with Vermont, the 2 back-to-back at the Wizards on January 31st and February 5th. So 2 second place teams, right? Wizards trailing the Express, Wolves trailing the Avalanche.
Yeah.
2 huge games there. Now, for those 2 teams, they are pretty much locked in, at least at a minimum, to the playoffs, right? And feel like they're the 1 and the 2 seeds. When you look at the rest of the division, it's a tighter race. So for Vermont, being at 14, 1-1, very symmetrical record there. Love that.
Who are they? Who are they? Old segment.
Wanting to hold third place, right? What is the most important game down the stretch for them?
3 game series with the Warriors. Hello. All at Paul T. Gilmartin Memorial Arena, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, end of February. I mean, that's their season in a nutshell, right? The Warriors are 7 points behind them. You take 2 out of 3, or you sweep that. See you later. But you lose 1 or 2 of those, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say the same thing here. I mean, it's going to be the biggest. I mean, I know, and you got to think Vermont is, sort of out for revenge. It's not like Valley was beating out them at the end of last season when Valley, edged them out for the last position in the playoffs, but it's still got to leave a sour taste in their mouth that Valley was the ones who snuck in over them last year.
Yeah, I do love how just they have 3 against the Wolves, 2 against the Avs, 3 against the Dukes,
So
a,
symmetrical.
a random single game against Rhode Island, and 3 against the Warriors. I'll just say the Eagles, the first game of that March showcase for them, because everything came down to that last showcase last year, like Jake just mentioned. They want to get that March showcase off on the right foot this year. For Valley, same number of games played as Vermont, but 7 points behind. They do have a 9-point cushion for them over the Dukes for that last playoff spot in the North Division. So is their most important game down the stretch Saturday, February 1st against the Dukes to maintain the spot in the postseason?
Yeah, probably. But I don't know. I mean, they're in a similar spot, kind of like the Wolves. Like every game is important for them because game counts are shrinking. Um, and because they are 7 points behind Vermont, I would say that they're kind of in a similar spot. You gotta hope to be like in a stretch of 10 games, you gotta have like a 7-3, 8-2 type pace to be able to get out of that last spot in the North.
I'm gonna go with the last few games they have of the season down at Iceworks in Pennsylvania. I mean, they went into the playoffs looking strong last year. They picked off one against the Avalanche, and they came close to beating them in that series.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be how they end this season. At this point, I'm thinking they're gonna be in that 4 spot. So
Ooh,
I think they probably have a date with the Avalanche again.
you.
So I think it's gonna be how they go into the playoffs.
And the Avalanche may prefer that as opposed to going to Vermont. But again, you don't want to
I don't know.
manipulate your
I don't
matchup
know,
in a
man.
way.
Warriors beat them in this season so far. Vermont hasn't done
Yeah.
that yet.
True.
True. Good points.
True. I am highlighting that Dukes Warriors game because it segues us into the Dukes, who need to obviously catch Valley in order to get into the playoffs. The benefit for them, they do have a stretch in February where they play 6 straight home games. So not sure if that will be a huge advantage for them, but Breakaway does have that weird pick plate by the Zamboni door. You never know. You could use that bounce to your advantage. But obviously, I think they need of all the games, especially win that one if they want to catch Valley for that 4th and final playoff spot in the North Division.
100%. 100%. Yeah, and the Dukes are another team. You got to win a lot of these games. They've been playing a lot better. I know they're on a 4-game losing streak, but I think the coaching change kind of maybe jolted the locker room. Did it jolt the Boston Bruins, you ask? I don't know, because they're weird. Just had to go there real quick because yeah, that team's giving me freaking headaches on a nightly basis. But yeah, I think the coaching change maybe kind of shook things up a little bit. And even though they have lost 4 in a row, they're playing better. But yeah, gotta love that home ice advantage. Use that Zamboni door the best you can and gobble up those points if you're the Dukes.
Every single game. Every single game. I mean,
Really?
they just need
Every game
points
to
in the
play.
worst way right now. So every single game, I think they can't afford to look at a single one of these games is not a playoff game right now. They're fighting for their lives. So the most important game is their next game against the Wizards on Saturday.
Well said, Coach Basile. Well said.
she sets up the American flag like bubbles on his Zoom
Heck
screen.
yeah, man.
Well, you get to go again first now for the Express. Jake,
Ooh.
your team since
about that?
half their schedule's remaining at this point, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's been a gauntlet here through what month are we in? January.
yeah.
I guess you just gotta go with the Avs. I mean, I hate to take what yours is probably gonna be, but like this is the game that's meant a lot to them for a while. They got stomped, quite frankly, by New Hampshire, and now they gotta do the same thing to them in their building. And I know they feel that, and maybe they kind of have looked past that in a couple games so far. This new year, dropping a game that maybe they shouldn't. So I think they're gonna be super motivated. I mean, they got a tough one tomorrow at Providence, but yeah, Tuesday versus the Avs.
I'm gonna go Wizards February 13th because you have owned them. You have been their daddy, for lack of a better term or phrase.
There's no better phrase than daddy.
Right? 3-1, 2-0, 4-1, 3-1. Been kind of a mixed bag for the Express as far as a little bit more low scoring for them. All wins against the Wizards. And you're probably, we'll see. I don't want to say probably, don't want to stick myself in a corner, but probably going to see them at some point in the playoffs. So, yeah, you got to keep the hurting on the Wizards if you're the Express. That's a huge game.
The selfish take for me in fantasy is the last game of the month against Rhode Island, a huge game for Dalton Roberto that day to really ice things for me. So, but it is part of a home and home series. And we may get to this with Rhode Island also. One of the top teams in the Central Division. You'd never want to take your foot off the gas when you're not playing your own division, right? Every point is critical, especially for an Express team trying to lock in that number 1 seed. So that gets us to the Wizards next, who, as Jeff just mentioned, they can't seem to get that monkey off their back when they face the Express. So is it similar for when the Express play the Avalanche? The Wizards have to pick up a win against the Express before the season ends?
Yeah, I think 100%. The Wizards are a very confident team, of course, led by some confident veteran coaches and Corey Felitti and Joe Ripa, and Coach Pavlini. But yeah, I mean, that's got to be dwelling in their heads, right? You got a lot of returners on that team, and it hasn't just been this year, as Jake is profiled on multiple episodes. It's been a couple of year skid for the Wizards against the Express since Nick Cota came in the building. So yeah, I think you have to win that for because as we've said too, Neil, you say this all the time. Once you get into the playoffs, those series move real fast. So if you lose game one in a playoff series against the Express, now you're like, geez, you start really overthinking. You really start gripping the stick. So I think that's a playoff like game for the Wizards.
I got a question for like the homies here. If you're the Express, do you want to go 5-0 against the Wizards this
That's a
season?
great question.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think you want to loss maybe two. I mean, because it's a numbers game. It's always a numbers game. Sports are. So I mean, eventually you're going to lose to a good team. That's a tough one. Maybe you want to get one loss out of there, but maybe not. Maybe you
They'll
just keep the foot on
they'll
the gas.
just play that whole game against the Wizards with the net pulled or the goalie pulled, I should
Ah,
say.
there we go.
For the Wizards, then I guess I'll go. Last game of the year, Wizards 87. This is a great hockey game, and
Ooh,
if I'm the Wizards, I want to go into the playoffs with my offense going at all cylinders, and that's a team that could slow it down. So I wouldn't want to necessarily not feel confident coming out of that game. So I'll go that one. Seems like it'll be a fun one.
Yeah, I like that showcase too. The first game for them against Providence, who was the
Yeah,
first
it's a
team
great
to beat
showcase schedule.
them this year, right? So get that revenge before the postseason begins.
Oh, the Declan Kelly game.
Yes,
ooh.
as your brother so wisely said, he got the boots moving through center. I love when Mikey says that.
The
Boots
boots
moving.
moving.
That's a good one.
That was a good one.
We get to the third place Eagles. So I guess Jeff, Eagles, Lumberjacks. Who are they?
I know,
But for
they're
the
decent
Eagles, is there a game that you can highlight down the stretch that can help define who they are?
True. I was gonna say because they're kind of another team. Third place, 31 points. Bridgewater and the Seahawks, 23. So like kind of creeping, but kind of not at this point. With most teams having Eagles have what 13 left. Bandits have the most games in hand on them, but I mean, maybe you want to continue to play good against the brass of the league. So you got Wolves on Friday, February 21st. That's a tough stretch. Wolves on the 21st, Express on the 25th, and then Seahawks on the 26th, and then the Wizards on the 27th. Sheesh.
And the 28th. Look at that.
Then you got a Seahawks team hungry to keep moving up, so that's going to be a hard game. So yeah, I mean, it's another team that you got to win those games in your division and try to create some space between you and those other teams.
They need wing replacement surgery, and they need it
Wing
ASAP.
replacement surgery.
Right now. They're not flying. These guys are grounded. They're walking, and they're not like walking like proud like an eagle. They're walking like goofy like a seagull.
Oh my God.
So they need to figure things out fast. And I'm calling them out because I like them. And I like Ian. And I like Riley Handsome. I like Manny Gomez. And I like Brady O'Connor. I like everybody on that team. And I want them to do well. And they need to start figuring it out fast. But I've said it for months. They need to be the top team in their division. So give me any of those games against 1 and 2.
How many Brady's do they have on their team?
Enough.
Brady Clark, Brady Erickson,
O'Connor,
Brady
three.
O'Connor.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Brady Quackenbush.
Brady
Quackenbush, too. Yeah, four?
Yeah.
I know it's
that's-
all like O'Connell's, Brady's.
Yeah. They got a lot of O's. Yeah.
So my son Brady has to play for the Eagles later on. Got it. Okay.
Correct. Coach
Um,
Ryan, you got to stay there for another how many years? 18.
That's a lot of
17?
years. A lot of years. But anyways,
Sorry.
Jake mentioned his love for Ian Moran. Same here. When it comes to having to do some rescheduling this season, never batted an eye. They play a 4-4, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th. And all Ian said was, we'll find out who we are then. Okay. Well, like great. I mean, that's going to be a tough stretch. It's Express, Seahawks, Wizards, Seahawks.
2 at home,
but-
2 away.
But
Woof.
let's see who the Eagles are. So I'm picking 4 games, 4 days, if
Like
you will. That gets us to the Bandits and Seahawks next, who both have 23 points, and the Bandits have 1 game in hand. Who wants to go first?
Jakey, you can take it if you'd like.
What team are we doing first?
I mean, is the matchup the
Bandits?
same? Is it just February 25th against each other? or should we say February 3rd against each other? Because they play each other a few more times here.
Yeah, I mean both, I guess. I mean, yeah, I'd say both. Would you agree, Jake?
Yeah, it's massive. And I mean their last win over the Bandits was their biggest 2 points to collect over the season, and they didn't let the Bandits get a point out of it. Seahawks going into that Express game yesterday had won 6 of their last 10. They're playing their best hockey of the season, and guys are going. Jake Gelman, the Judel, Corey Cashel, Thomas Plamondon has all 7 of his goals in the last 15 games. He's one of the best defensemen in the league. So for me, if the Eagles don't figure out how to fly again, am I wondering if the Seahawks take their third place spot? That's what I'm thinking right now.
Cade Chapman coming in, goalie of the week.
Yeah, he's got 5 wins in 8 appearances right now, and that's a good chunk right there.
And I think I read yesterday he's allowed 2 goals or less in 6 of his 7 starts for a net that was Isaac Saljaougi's. So I don't know anymore. Chapman's kind of taken that away. But I mean the key too, they played 2 1-goal games too, so they got to be real careful about getting those games done in regulation to not give the other team the extra point or any points at all.
And I do love just the way you say his name, Jake.
Isaac?
No, the defenseman. Say it one more time.
Oh, Plamondon.
Yeah.
Plamondon.
Plamondon.
Reminds me of
We've been saying we were saying Plamondon all of last year, and then he just throws that in. We're like, whoa.
I don't know, I think I call him Plamondon when I say his game is not well. It reminds me of Pierre Maguire when he used to say Patrice Bergeron. Remember that?
Yes.
I love Pierre.
Bergeron?
Jake, this was before your time because you're so young. But Jeff and I, the Avalanche used to have a player named Matt. We thought
Kassab.
For years.
Yep.
We said Kassab. He was in the P, then the E. It must have been 3 years.
3 years. I think it was 3 years.
His final game of his junior hockey career is the championship game, and his father comes up to us and says, "Hey guys, it's Kassab."
I like that.
Like he couldn't have told us this any time previously.
He was wicked nice. He was like,
It was great.
"No worries." We're like, "No, we're worrying. We went to school for this. We're trying to get it right." Like, that's horrible. We're sorry.
So I'm glad that we have Tomas' name right now. So, but I will say, I'm just going to highlight the 3 times they play each other: Bandits and Seahawks, January 27th, February 3rd, and February 25th. 3 huge games there. Last one, for those that are wondering, is my birthday. So circle that on your calendar. That gets us next to the Central Division. Providence Capitals, 20 wins, 7 losses, an overtime loss, and a shootout loss. So they have a 4-point lead in the Central Division with 3 games in hand. So is there a game on the upcoming calendar where if they can kind of stay consistent, in your minds, that's the game that they could clinch the division, clinch that number 1 spot?
I think they're done. Oh no, they do have Hockey Club Rhode Island one more time on the 22nd. So I feel like with them being as close as they are, 4 points, that could be probably the biggest game. Capitals do have 3 games in hand on Rhode Island too, though, so that's gonna have to be a huge factor in the end too. But I'll go with that. I'll go with Hockey Club Rhode Island on Saturday, February 22nd.
I think it's the Capitals division. So, I'm not super worried about them being able to clinch the 1 spot sooner rather than later. But I think their game tomorrow is huge. I think they need a win against a team like that. They lost in a tight game against the Avs at the November Showcase. They lost yesterday against the Avs. They need to win against a team like the Express. For the Central Division, when you get out and you play teams like the Avs and the Express, that's what you look forward to. I mean, that's what Coach Mello was saying last week when HCRI played them, and it was a tight loss in overtime for HCRI, and they'll get 2 more cracks at them this month. So I think all those games for these Central Division teams are super important.
I think on this podcast, we've never been afraid to address the elephant in the room, right? Final game of the regular season, Providence Capitals versus the Philadelphia Hockey Club.
Oh,
there are some personal connections and ties between the 2 teams there. And that game,
told me they were looking forward to that game, I think, at the beginning of when Providence scrimmaged the Express.
So the game may mean nothing in terms of the standings, but it may be the most physical and hard played game of the entire showcase. So
We like
circle that one.
You probably don't
Healthy-
want to
healthy
play.
hate
You
deal.
don't want that game going into playoffs, probably.
No, it's not ideal, but we'll have a good time.
Rest those lumps after.
For HC Rhode Island, they have 3 games more played than Providence and trail by 4 points. So obviously they don't really control their own destiny in that regard. But is there a big game that they have to win down the stretch in order to possibly catch the Capitals for that number 1 spot?
I think I kind of want to go with Jake's feel here as far as playing teams out of your division, kind of like litmus tests, playoff like. So I feel like the end of the season, they're gonna want to finish strong, and you got the Bears and then the Seahawks. You could end up, I mean, we'll see how the Seahawks and Bandits shake out here. You could end up playing possibly spoiler too, with them, but I feel like you want to really bring it against the playoff teams that are out of your division. So I'll go with that Bears showcase game. That'll be a good test for them.
I'll go with they have 2 against the Seahawks. The Seahawks are a team that obviously plays pretty physical and nasty, kind of help you get prepared for playoff hockey. And, historically over HCRI's couple seasons here so far in the EHL, the Seahawks have given them fits. So I think if they can get a win over a team that plays a playoff style game late in their season, it'll be good for them going into the postseason.
I'll just circle the what feels kind of random February 15th Vermont game, right? Just dropped in the middle of all these close local matchups and 2 teams that want to really solidify their spot. So you never want to look past somebody at the wrong time. And Saturday, February 15th, why not? Those 2 teams. We get to 3rd place in the Central Division. And for the Nor'easter, they probably feel like they've been stuck here for a while.
Yeah.
Right? So is there I know they just beat Rhode Island 7-4 this past Saturday, so we can't go back and circle that one because that was a good win for them. But is there another game that if they can pick up the W in that game, they could feel like they could turn things around down the stretch?
I mean, you're playing Hockey Club Rhode Island coming up this Saturday, tomorrow. So that could be a big one as far as, teams in your division. You want to keep pace with them and see what you're like against the best teams in your division. You got to play them twice. They're playing them again on Saturday the 8th. Got a 10-point lead built up on the Rough Riders, and they still see them a couple more times too. So I don't know. I don't really think there is like a massive. They're one of the teams that really is kind of stuck with a 10-point lead over 4th, and then kind of a ways behind the Capitals and Rhode Island. I feel like they're kind of stuck in neutral. Not really any games that jump out hugely to me.
Yeah, to me, they're the Eagles of the Central right now. Like they're not a Category 5 Storm as a Nor'easter. They're like a little Category 1 dusting right now. And I think they need to find their Storm again. Like in Step Brothers, find your dinosaur. Like
Yes.
They need to find their Storm. So I look at pretty much all of these games. Like they're not winning lately, and you want to go into your postseason feeling as confident as possible. And I think they have a really hard showcase schedule, playing the 2 best of the South, and then Valley, who could pick off a win despite not having the best record against anybody in this league at any given time, just because of the way they play. So once again, for a team like the Nor'easter, who just can't string it together right now, I look at those 3 games.
Oh, cue the scheduler. Schedule the showcase games. What a guy.
Is there a Step Brothers 2 coming? I thought I heard that.
No.
I don't know. That was the first, I think I mentioned this, the first R-rated movie I ever saw.
Wow.
That makes me feel old. I was watching that in college.
Well,
We were in college.
And Will Ferrell's pendulum was crazy to my 8-year-old eyes.
You were 8 when you saw that. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, it came out in 2008, so I was 8. Easy.
Wow.
I'm easy math that way,
Yeah, the drum set scene must have been really something for
That
a
was
young
great.
Jake.
Something we can't repeat on air, but
Young Jake. Nor'easter, though, in the middle of an 8-game road stretch, obviously not physically on the road the entire time. They drive back, practice, whatnot, but a lot of important games for them while they're away from ISCC. And I don't want to take the cliche thing, but just, again, all of them, right? Like they need to get this thing going in the right direction heading into the postseason. And obviously, speaking of the postseason, the 2 teams left in this division, both trying to get there, both on losing streaks right now. Even in game count, Rough Riders and Applecore but the Rough Riders only have a 6-point lead over the Apple Corps. Is it easy to say that just for these two teams, the two times they play each other?
Yeah, I think it is for this
Yeah,
one.
100%, 100%, 100%. Because that gap is so small, and because of what you just said, the games remaining, that's huge. So, yep, it's probably gonna come down to that. You sweep it, you're good. If you're the Rough Riders, you get swept, well, might get jumped.
And they play on Monday, January 27th, Friday, February 21st. Both games at the Rough Riders. So they'll try and use that Sono Icehouse advantage to their benefit. That gets us to the South Division.
Hang on a second. You want to talk about addressing elephants in the room? The Scooby-Doo is literally behind you right now. Whose dog is
Your
that?
brother's
That's
dog?
my brother's dog.
Ah.
Yes.
Dude, that thing literally looks like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, that's my brother's dog.
What's his name? Her name?
Maverick, his name.
Maverick.
See, he turned there. There he goes.
It's not
There's
bad.
my dog.
He's like, yes, Uncle Neo, what's up?
Yes. We call them part of the Tan Dog Alliance because they're both tan.
Wow. I don't know. Uniting by skin color is really the thing in 2025, but okay.
All right, see you guys next week.
All right, this podcast is
See you in the
ring. Dump. Anyways, we go to the South
Oh my
Division.
I can't say that. I'm sorry. I can't.
We go to the South Division, and we really had highlighted for the Bears that first game back for them on January 8th when they came back and faced the 87s, and they got the win, which was huge for them to really kind of get momentum going back in their direction. They've won 3 straight games, so they've maintained first place in the South Division, and they've been able to let the game count even out. Right now them and the 87s both have 32 games played. So down the stretch, how valuable is the 1 seed for the Bears?
Oh man,
How good of a home team are they?
I am of the belief that standings matter the least in the South Division.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with, because of how weird and how close and competitive that division is. I would agree. Home, I'd have to look back to as far as these playoff matchups the last bunch of years. Has it always been the home team that's gone away? I don't think it has. I think it's been kind of a mixed bag. I think there have been some away teams.
Well, and let's talk about the Bears Protect Ducks franchise, right? Number 1 seed last year, number 1 seed the year before. In the history of the Ducks Bears team,
don't like the number 1 though.
they've won 1 playoff series.
Yeah, so maybe you don't want that. Maybe you say, you take it, Holes. We'll take the 2. We'll take the back seat.
I have tremendous belief in the Bears this year.
You've bared down.
I'm a Bear Lever. I'm a Bear Lever.
You bear down.
Yeah. Owen House is a good guy. Congratulations to him on committing, by the way. But yeah, no, I think regardless where they finish, I think they'll finish in the 1 spot. But listen, I think you want to avoid playing Philly Hockey Club. That is my take. I don't want to play Philly Hockey Club in the playoffs.
Fair. So is it simple to say then to maintain that 1 spot when they face off against the 87s on the 11th and 13th of February? Those are the 2 biggest games down the stretch.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. As far as there's been a lot of tight 1 goal. 3 out of the 5 times they've played, they've been 1 goal decisions. A couple of routes. The 2 routes have been in the hands of the 87s, 5-0 and 8-4. So, yeah, maybe if you're the Bears, you try to get a route of your own. I don't know if it's going to happen with how good Flo Pushkas has been in net, but which reminds me too, I haven't seen him start a little bit. We're not in fantasy yet. It's my fantasy goalie. Hope Flo's okay.
I'll circle those games against the Bears, and then that segues us into the 87s. Jay, to your point, are the 87s looking at this as they don't want to face Philly Hockey Club?
Yeah, and if you're the 87s, you just want to feel confident and go in as the 1 seed, right? You want to take both those games against the Bears. I almost said New Jersey, like that would have meant anything. Against the Bears. And I think you wanna take down your showcase slate too, right? Like every South team looks forward to those games. And they have a really exciting one against the Wizards, and I picked that for the Wizards. So I think for the 87s is going to be huge too. I mean, if those 2 teams are, within striking distance of each other at that showcase as well, which is very possible, they're going to be playing, very meaningful hockey down the stretch against teams that may be resolute in their positions already.
Last 4 games of their year at Iceworks because they're playing the Little Flyers on Tuesday, March 4th. Interesting.
I think any game against the Little Flyers, because they have faced each other every year in the playoffs for the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
And if you can take care of business, I'm sure the Huntsmen would be appreciative, because that could get the Huntsmen into the playoffs, and then you don't
Who
have
are
to
they?
face them
Another team
in the
right there.
playoffs.
Another
Right?
team right there. Who are the Huntsmen?
We got 3 teams left. Philly Hockey Club. Who wants to start here with the Barty Party, as he likes to call
The
himself?
party. They've been great. Like we said in the showcase, up in Haverhill, the last showcase, they were one of the best teams in the South, if not the best team in the South. So I mean, again, you got to play the Bears still. You got to play the 87 still. So you kind of want to flex your muscles a little bit against the teams that are right there in front of you. Not sure if it's possible to jump into 2 now that they're 10 points behind. They do have 1 game in hand, so they have 15 games left in their season. Never say never, but again, yeah, you can still hold off Little Flyers and Huntsmen, who are only 6 points behind you too. So, I'd say every in-division game is really important for Philly going down the stretch.
They swept the December showcase. I look at their showcase schedule in March. If they can do something similar, if they can go 2 of 3, or if they can, S word again, that would be monumental for them going into the playoffs. And I mean, there are 2 teams in that division that really need to exercise some playoff demons. They're one of them, the Bears are the other. So, I think a matchup between those 2 teams would be sick in terms of, one of those teams having to move on. I don't think we're necessarily going to get it, but, for them, it's just going to be, about beating some out of division teams going into the playoffs.
And Dukes and Bandits are 2 of those teams, so teams well below them that are also going to be fighting for playoff lives. So interesting storylines there.
And then March 9th, the game that was circled back in the preseason, right? For the same reasons down south. Big game there. Little Flyers and Huntsmen both have 29 points. Little Flyers have the 1 game in hand. Who's it going to be, guys?
I don't know. Tune in on March. What is it? March 10th is our last league day of the year. I really don't. As far as what a interesting last week or so. You beat the Huntsmen 8-2. You lose to the Bears 7-3. Then you skid by the Huntsmen in overtime 4-3. So it's look at that 3-game stretch right there. Get killed, do some killing, and then win by 1. That basically summarizes how odd the South is.
Podcast title: Get killed, do some killing.
There you go.
Yeah,
win by 1.
It's gonna be. I think a lot of it will come down to how well they do against the top teams. I mean, if you look at the next, handful of games for the Huntsmen, 4 out of 5 are against either the Bears or the 87s. Yep. That's going to be their most trying stretch. If they come out with not a lot of points, they might be in a hefty gap trying to chase PLF. And, we always like to say, what Coach Catron can get out of his players in the second half are the Huntsmen playing with fire, not striking what, prior to that usual hot run for PLF. So we'll see if they could replicate what they always do.
And they play each other on February 19th and 20th. Home and home that starts at Huntsman, finishes at Little Flyers. So 2 huge games there. And for the Huntsmen, it's hard to believe it's only their 2nd season in the EHL. And they missed the playoffs and they missed the playoffs last year. So they want to get in, and we know when the Little Flyers get in, anything can happen, right? So that wraps up kind of our around the horn EHL games to watch down the stretch. We didn't get a chance to talk about the P as much last week, and I don't want to do the same thing in the P. I want to just do some quick updates here on where teams are at. So the Wolves at 25-2-0 aren't as perfect as they were for the first 21 games. I'm blanking. What was the win streak?
Zach Spakuza, though, is still perfect.
Okay, fair
enough. Is he though? Because what does he got me 5
He is.
January. What the heck, Zach?
It's fine. Literally,
the kid's still on a point streak. This is how amazing he's had for a season. I think he has points in 5 or 6 straight games. Has a single assist games in his last 2, which is a light day for Zach Spakuza. So, come on, Zach. We need 4, 5, 6 points a game.
He's being a good captain. He wants other guys to
He
share the
is.
spot.
He is. And he's still up in the leaderboard, but
It is crazy how everybody in that division's in the call it the high 20s for game count, except for the Avalanche, who've played 32. So I'm sure in that regard, the Wolves feel pretty comfortable that they could be the 1 seed in that division. And then honestly, the other 4 teams, like they've
awesome.
all shown us bits and pieces of really bright spots this year. You could put all 4 names in the hat, and you can say the question is who's going to give the Wolves the hardest time in the postseason, and just draw a name because
Yeah.
they all could.
They all could.
100%. I mean, we were talking about it before we came on air, the crazy playoff like Warriors Seahawks game that ended in overtime yesterday. A couple of sub-filling coaches, Coach Eldring, Coach O'Keefe. Well done. Sickness going around to our head coaches, staff, league personnel. We've all been sick as you know what for the last few weeks. So, but yeah, I mean, Warriors scored 4 unanswered to win 5-4 in OT. They scored 3 goals in the third period to erase what was a 4-1 lead for the Seahawks. That's a playoff game right there.
Yeah.
Could that be the youngest coaching matchup in league history?
Oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like Corey's late 20s and Keith is younger than me. So
Yeah.
he's
I
like
think it has to be. I don't know if Corey's going to get the chance to be a head coach again, blowing that lead. But
Sure, you heard it from Coach Richard on the phone call after that one. What'd you do, Corey?
because I wouldn't answer the phone call. I would just be like, "Hey, I'll see you tomorrow." Like, so
You see his phone, his name pop up. You're like, yeah, what's up, Mike? Mm-hmm.
especially because Providence won on the same day, right? So now those 2 teams are tied with 33 points at the top. Then you got Express and Nor'easter 27 each. Bandits at the bottom in this division, guys. Who emerges?
Tune in on the last day of the year. See you next week.
it's hard. It's more open
Really
than
hard.
I thought.
Wide
And
open.
I had thought the Nor'easter, when they had several games in hand on the Express, were gonna kind of overtake them by this point, especially with the 2 games between the two, and then another one this month that had already gone by. The Express have won all of them, and really, Nor'easter still has one, and now the Express have one less game played than them.
Yeah.
So I mean, that has been massive for the Express, and I don't know, man. I've liked the Seahawks all throughout. And I think I just kind of have to stick with them. But I think I'm going to make some people at home pretty upset by saying that.
It has to be the Seahawks year. They got E or P. They have to break through. I think it might be. I agree. I think it's the P this year. I think they got it.
I think Jeff is just trying to will a Seahawks team to Providence. Like that
fine.
is like on Jeff's like bucket list of things that have to happen in his life. The Seahawks coaching staff has to join us in Providence at some point.
Yes. I like that. Very good people. Very good coaches.
I will say the Express have come a long ways since the way they started the season. So they wouldn't surprise me.
Does that have anything to do with their new data analyst?
Whoa. I don't know. I haven't played a
What?
single game since I did some stats.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I guess we'll
We
find
all
out.
know because it's been mentioned more than how many times I've mentioned I'm from Maine this season.
You've not done that very much
at all.
That
But
scared
Jake
me.
has made sure everyone knows his favorite movie is Moneyball, and he's just trying to do his best Billy Bean impression.
We're money
this season.
pucking this thing. We're money pucking this thing. Yeah.
Wrap it up with the South Division. We'll give a shout out to Frankie Smith, who became the all-time EHLP shutout leader in league history. Right, so between him and McGillicuddy, when the 87s play, the odds of them getting a shutout
High.
are always pretty high.
They've got 45 goals on the season. That's insane.
5 of them, though, did come in a loss this past weekend to Union. Is Union the dark horse in this division?
Ooh, let's call Emily. Get a little phone a friend in here. She'd probably say so. I don't know. I haven't seen them enough to say, but they play a lot of close games. So I mean, they're playoff ready. They've scored 68 goals. They've given up 69. So a -1 differential.
Nice.
Not the best. But yeah, I mean, I think they play a lot of playoff type like games. So, and Neil's about to, it's a child. I was like, are we picking up a dog, a child? Oh, Chase, we get some red cheeks, bud.
Yeah, no, Chase wants to say that they are the dark horse. He also brought his maraca for us to just shake around a little bit.
Ooh.
So,
Go Chaser. Go Chaser. Chaser says, go Thunder. Woo.
so
Union
yes.
Union being the dark horse. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, they got 69 goals against. Nice. I think they're good. I think their PIMs are down. I like where Union is at right now.
For sure. For sure. And that will segue us into fantasy, guys. And I have a fear that I want to talk about with fantasy.
Now it's time for the E-Show Fantasy Challenge. Follow along on the EHL app. Available now for free on both Apple iOS and Android.
As we start off every fantasy, though, we highlight our Yahoo League, which I'm actually facing Jeff this week. The projections are close, Jeff.
Why is it every time we play, Neil, it's like down to the last day, down to the last player? We always have tight games.
And I thought, like, I felt good 2 nights ago because I went to bed before that Winnipeg Colorado game ended. And
Yeah.
I was like, if this works out where, like, Makar can score, but Hellebuck still wins, like, I'll make a jump here. And Makar scored. Then Hellebuck won because my defenseman Neil Poink scored the game winner. I was like, beautiful. And, like, I jumped to over, like, overnight, and then you jumped ahead last night. I just...
Who's your
I
defenseman?
was like, I thought it was Pyong. Pyong?
It's Neil Peon.
I don't know how to pronounce all the names.
What
James.
did you say though?
Oh, we
What
know
did you
that. We
say?
know
I don't know. I called him Neil Point. Is that not correct?
The sound like a puck makes when it hits the post, dude.
His name is Pionk.
Yeah, Neil Peon.
Pionk.
All right,
I
so
suppose yours is better.
Pyoink. I know, I like that. Neil Pyoink.
clearly I don't follow Winnipeg that closely, Jake.
It's a fellow Neil, but he spells Neal. Do you have an issue with Neils that spell with an A instead of an I?
No,
That's
anybody can spell it however they want.
Oh, well
It's a
said.
great first name. A
Hmm.
lot of people think that I am Neal. I actually get that in email sometimes, and it's like you had to literally type in Neil at easternhockeyleague.org just for you to
Right.
then type the name wrong, but I digress.
And how about that undisclosed injury of Jeremy Swayman? Hey, that came out a good week for me. Woo! Thanks,
Yes.
Sway.
Yes.
Sway is the way. Appreciate
Yes.
it.
Do you think he's going to listen to this podcast?
Yes.
I'd say
Yes.
no.
No,
I'd say
Pionk.
no.
I'm talking about Pionk because I
Oh,
pronounced it wrong.
Definitely not. Absolutely.
Okay,
not
because
a
if he
chance.
does, he'll probably ask to get removed from my team immediately.
And
Fair.
then where are you gonna go? You gonna go DraftKings?
I'll go to DraftKings, Jeff.
So if you do go to DraftKings, Neil, well, guess what? Have you seen the Jim Moore commercial? It's great. If you haven't, playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. You bet we are. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs. Yes, it is. And you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Do you have a gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void if you're in Ontario. Bonus bets to expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
I'm so rattled, guys. I thought his name was Pionk. Or
it's
Pionk,
okay.
whatever I said.
It's okay.
He'll forgive
think-
you. He will never listen.
I haven't called a game since
The Frozen
It's-
Final to me and COVID or
so what?
post.
So that was 2021. So I haven't called a game in 4 years. All right.
So pronunciation guides are well behind you.
So that's why when we get to Providence, I love how Jeff basically is the MC and the PA guy, and I don't have to speak at all during the ceremonies. We just have to pass out the trophies.
Yep.
You
Smile.
should come call a game with me at Cadillac. Santa got me another headset.
I thought you were going to Cadillac and making a guest appearance at some point. Didn't we
I
look
need
that up?
to. I need
Yeah.
to. But if I'm gonna do that, I gotta sit down with Jake before and make sure we really get this right.
Polish.
Because I don't know. Did we talk about the Ville mispronunciation on this.
Oh
on this
yeah, it's
podcast?
also Vile.
Jeez. Oh my! I should just end the podcast right now.
Fillet the fillet over here.
There's like a Swedish pronunciation that every time I try, he's like, "Don't bother." So I must not be doing
Really?
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He loves your Swedish meatballs.
But
so
but
keep those
speaking
cooking.
of him, one of the highest point getters in the league so far this month in terms of fantasy. He's got 34 fantasy points so far for the Express this month. Quiet the last few games though. I know the Bowden fantasy owners have been kind of banging the table asking for more, but 34 is the highest point total of any forward this month in the EHL. Daxton St. Hilaire's got 29. Alex Lakeoff, kind of a quiet month for him by his standards, right? 24.
That's amazing.
But still a pretty good month, right? Daniel Kroon,
Ravin
20.
from the Seahawks P 25.
Yeah, and then Daniel Kroon's got 24. Riley Van Son 30. So a number of forwards putting together solid months so far here in January. In terms of defensemen, Jake, how does this make you feel with Grant Burback?
Oh man, it's the same thing. Listen, I've forgiven Grant. It's okay. But like it's the same thing with Riley Handsome. Like I just have this I have whatever the opposite of the Midas touches. But I mean this month it's like it hasn't been like bad. Like nobody's like gone to sleep, so which is good. And also, I need 2 more points. Miles's goal was shorthanded yesterday, but it wasn't listed as it. I'm fixing it right now.
Okay, we will adjust that for you.
Thank you.
When you picked Grant, was your forward Riley?
Yes.
So let's play this out, right? So if you had picked them again this month, who did you pick in goal that month?
I had J-Lo. So not great either month. Not J-Lo's fault, but they're just not winning games.
Okay, because between Van Son and Burback, you would have 51 points. I don't know what J-Lo has this month, but so you'd still be in the top 10-ish.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. I actually got surpassed by Ray Weimer the other night for the first spot, and I got a little nervous for a second. But unfortunately for him, Adirondacks month is over. Yes.
Oh no.
They don't play again this month. And Jeff, this is why I'm holding on hope for our matchup in Yahoo this week. Yeah. I have more games left, right? So
wait, hold on. I think we're deadlocked. I think I counted this morning. I think we're deadlocked now. I have 18.
In terms of games played, I have 22 left. I'm looking at this the same way as fantasy. You can't score fantasy points if your teams don't play.
True. Oh yeah, you have 22. I have 18. I did the math wrong. I wasn't even there.
So I've taken over the top spot again, really in large part thanks to Daxton St. Hilaire's 29. Dalton Roberto, 14 for me, and Caden Clegg, 35.6. My fear down the stretch is Alex Koenig. If he gets 3 starts and he wins 3 games, I don't know if I can hang on.
So what do you think? Does Lucas Toth need to...
I think I just need to have Jake go into that coach's office and really push for an even split. Push for an even split down the stretch. Hey, man,
I have Alex Koenig.
Jake ain't doing
do the right thing, Jake.
I'm also going same team for the Feb March one.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go down.
I just go, I'm just gonna keep it within the family. Why not?
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I keep looking at all these picks.
So I look at it like this from my personal selfish perspective. The Express have 4 games left. They have Capitals tomorrow, Avalanche Tuesday, and then a back-to-back home and home with Rhode Island. I would feel like, at a minimum, they're going to split the home and home, the 2 goaltenders for the Express. And we know
the perfect world.
Koenig is going to get the Avalanche game. So he's got at least 2 of the 4.
Yeah.
The game in question is Providence tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, Lucas had a shutout earlier this week against the Nor'easter. That's crazy.
And who played yesterday?
Koenig. So he's gone Koenig on back-to-backs before. So
whose turn in theory is tomorrow?
It's not like a
it's not like that
kind of thing. It's not. I've tried to predict. I've tried to anticipate it, and I never get it right. I'm guessing Alex, to be honest.
If we're gonna stick with the theme, right, of what is the most important game for a team down the stretch, right? So what is the most important game for my fantasy team to hang on to first place? It's tomorrow. If the Express give Koenig the start in that and he wins that, and he's got at least 2 starts next week, I'm not going to win fantasy, guys.
Oh.
I'm going with the
basement because we ain't winning.
I'm going with the Justin reverse psychology and just saying I'm not going to win, because then when I do win, I'm happy.
And then when you don't, you're not let down.
Correct.
Look at that. Thank you, Justin, teaching us the way. Do life in fantasy.
So, but plenty of players having great months. Just to highlight a few other goalies. I mentioned Caden Clegg with a 35.6 that he's given me so far. Cam Reardon, 26 points. Alex Koenig, 15.8 so far, but watch out, could have 3 starts left. Cross Sherman, 21. So there's only 1 week left in January, and it's going to be a very stressful week for me, guys. This is it. Like, right, I'm not even thinking about February, March yet. I know Jake has moved on. Same picks next month. This is it. I'm going all in this month. I gotta win this. I have the lead right now.
Right. Gotta do it. That was me last month. I couldn't close. So do it, Neil.
Have you lost sleep since that?
A little bit, but trying to move on, trying to stay positive as I always do. And there's still time. So I don't know. I gotta really get to the drawing board for my next month's picks. I know that.
So we're not gonna have what to watch for this week because we already kind of did that.
Yeah. in a large way.
In a large way and around the E show. We've gone away from Ravin's rants for the last few episodes. And really, I have something that I want to get off my chest.
You want to shake the Macarena real quick?
Should this be like the sound that the rant is coming?
Oh, I like that. It's rant time. Macarena, hey, Macarena, hey. So
it actually fits well because I have Chase sitting on my lap, and we've covered daycare previously on this podcast.
We have.
We love Chase. Chase is the best, right? But
he is.
When he only goes to daycare 3 days a week, and you have to pay for every single day, no matter if they go or not, the system is messed up. And this week, holiday Monday, enjoyed the full day Tuesday. Yes, he did. He did. Lasted about an hour at daycare yesterday when the phone call came that he had gotten sick and I had to go pick him up. Now, he was very happy to see me and gave me a huge hug, and that makes you feel good. But it's when you pay for something, this is my way of thinking, I guess, maybe. I want the full value in return.
Correct. You pay, you play.
Not an emphatic rant, but you're going all 3 days next week.
Not a chaser.
So for those that, especially Tuesday, because Tuesday I have to go see Jake.
There you go.
In Hooksett. Jake's coming to my state.
Nice.
But hey, listen, if Chase can't go Tuesday, you can go see Jake too.
There we go.
We'll go watch the Express and Avalanche. So
daycare.
If you can't make it to watch those games in person, including that big one that we have on Tuesday, Express versus Avalanche, you can always tune in and watch them live online with Flow Hockey. And we'll talk to you guys next week, guys. I kind of want to wait until right after fantasy is over, personally. But our Friday the 31st game, the last game is at 5 o'clock. So I don't know if we can wait till that. But I'm going to be anxious until then with the hopes that I can maintain that first spot. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Good luck, Neil.
Thanks for listening to The E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Learn more about us at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when our next podcast episode is released.